everybody. I hope you had a good week. In our last art class, we were learning about some women who are African American who live in Alabama in a place called Gee's Bend, and they're famous for making quilts, right? So your last assignment was to make patterns. Instead of using fabric, we're going to be using this piece of paper, and you should have made patterns. You should have had at least one section that was a solid color and at least two or more that had some kind of a pattern on it. If you did not do this, the video for how to do this is at the very end of this slideshow. Go watch that, go do this, and then come back to the rest of this video. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna be cutting this apart, imagining that it's pieces of fabric, maybe like an old dress or an old pair of jeans. We're gonna cut it apart and then glue it together to make our quilt design, okay? So the very first thing that you're going to do is quick. You're gonna make a quick little sketch. So this is just like an old scrap piece of paper I had, and I just made this really little sketch to kind of see like, kind of what do I want my quilt to look like. Everybody should have a border. So it's kind of like a frame. So you can see how I drew the rectangle, because the sheet of paper we're gonna use is a rectangle, but then I drew a smaller rectangle inside of it. That way this outside edge is a frame, and you can see here, this whole outside is the frame. At the very end, I added this black so that the frame kind of stands out. All right, so can't pick it up. So you're gonna make a quick little sketch first. Honestly, you should watch this whole video first. Watch the whole video, but then I'll list step-by-step instructions in your Google, in the slideshow. Okay, so step one, make your sketch, all right? So for what I'm gonna do today, I made a different sketch. So I started with a rectangle again, put a smaller rectangle inside, so there's my frame. And I just did like a really simple sketch. I'm gonna use a lot more shapes probably than this when it's all said and done. Okay, so make your sketch. Now, let me move the camera around. Okay guys, so the next step in doing this is to take scissors and carefully cut apart each of your squares. Okay, so now I have all my squares cut apart. Now, in your yellow folder, you need to get a piece of the thick paper. If you don't have this folder and you don't have thick paper, get a cereal box, and that cardboard is what you can use. You need to have something thick to glue your quilt onto. How big should it be? Well, we're gonna fold this in half. If you're using a cereal box, just take a piece of like printer paper or notebook paper and fold it in half. This is how much you need to cut out of your cereal box. Again, you just need something hard or thicker that we're gonna glue everything onto. And then I'll cut this in half. All right, so now it's time to start putting everything together. I'm gonna start in the center. You guys should start in the center. Start in the middle and work your way out. The great thing about the quilts from Gee's Bend, what makes them look really interesting, is that they're not perfect. The ladies who made them are not they're not like using rulers and measuring. They're just kind of eyeballing everything. So I know a bunch of you don't like measuring. So this project is for you. All right, so that's gonna be in the center. Use Elmer's glue. If you only have a glue stick, that's okay, but you really need to use a lot of it so it sticks down. All right, remember what we learned in kindergarten? Dot, dot, not a lot. Okay, seriously guys, don't use too much glue. All right, so I'm gonna, stick this in the middle, and then I wanted to put a little heart on there. You certainly don't have to do that. All right, so I just folded it in half. There's my little heart. Okay, now I'm gonna glue it on. Okay, so my heart is on there. But before I go any further, let me talk to you about our objectives for the day. All right, so when you're planning this out, you need to have harmony and unity, which means the whole thing goes together. So you can just tell that I have a plan. I repeated certain patterns that I had, and I wanted like the plaid, I wanted some around the outside. I wanted to repeat it again on the inside. Later, I needed to add orange, which I didn't have originally. I chose orange because it repeats this orange that I had in my star pattern. So try to repeat some of the colors you already have to create unity. Contrast, later on, you're going to have to think about how do I make certain things stand out. So I chose to do my frame in black so it would really stand out compared to the orange and yellow next to it. Please be creative. If you do like the most basic, boring quilt design, I'll be able to tell like, wow, that took you 10 minutes. That was really easy. That was not very creative. Put some thought into it, okay? I want to see that you took time, and I want to see that you used your own ideas. And then lastly, craftsmanship. Glue things down properly, cut things neatly. But again, the quilts from G's Bend are not perfectly measured. So if your shapes are a little wonky, that's fine, okay? Because we're not measuring, we're just eyeballing the whole thing. All right, so I did this. Now on my sketch, I have a little frame around it. So let's think about contrast. That color kind of shows up. I think I'm going to do this one though, because it really stands out. So I want it to be, let's see, maybe this, I'm just going to cut a long strip. Let's say maybe 2 long strips. And I'll use this for the little tiny frame around the heart. Remember I said we're not using a ruler. So it'll go here and then about that long. So I'm just going to put my finger there, cut it, glue it down, dot, dot, not a lot. Okay, and then for the next piece, let me eyeball it. It's going to go there, and I'll cut it right there at the bottom of that green, dot. Okay, so you're just eyeballing it, and then I'll glue it down, and I'll do that the whole way around. I did the same kind of frame on here, except I did different colors. I did orange, gray, orange, gray, and then bigger and bigger, but the same method. Okay, so now the center is done. For me, I think I'm ready to do my border next, and I'm going to use this for my border. All right, so now my border is glued on, and I have some leftover pieces, which I'm making sure that I save all my leftover pieces because you're going to want to use them. My design has these lines coming out of the middle, and I feel like I don't want to do that anymore. I think what I'm going to do is I want to have a pattern with this and the purple going up above this and down below that. So you don't exactly have to follow your original plan. All right, so now I finished putting all these little guys down. Something I forgot to tell you before is that you should really kind of press things down for 10 or 15 seconds after you glue them. That way the edges don't curl up. I have not been doing that, and some of my edges are starting to really stick up. And now I have glue all over my hands, and some of my marker got on my hands too. So yuck, I'm all sticky. Later on, I think I'm going to do some kind of a really dark color on here to make it stand out more. But for now, I'm just going to keep chugging along. Let's see, I think I want to use this again, and it might be kind of fun to put it up in these corners. So let's try that. Now, I'm a little bit bothered. There's not very much contrast between these two, but again, remember I said that we could add some darker colors later. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to put these in these 4 corners. You know, let me show you a trick for how to measure. So if I want it to go right here, I'm going to hold my paper upside down. That's where I want it to go. It's going to be this high, okay, and this wide. So I made those 2 little marks on the back of it. I'm just going to cut really carefully. Oops. Okay, and that's how that should fit just about right there. All right, so I just did my 4 corners. I think right here, I want to do stripes again, like purple plus another color, purple plus another color, but I'm kind of feeling like I have too many patterns. So I want another solid color. And I want to repeat this red color that I used in here. So I'm just going to take a little scrap paper, and I don't need a lot of red. I just need enough to make stripes that are about this wide. So I'm just going to color on a piece of paper, just a red rectangle. I'm pretty sure this should be enough. Hold on, I don't want to get marker all over my table. You could also use a crayon. You don't have to use a marker. My marker is getting a little dried out. All right, great. So now I have red, and I'm going to do my red and purple pattern on the sides. All right, guys, yay, I am almost done, but I feel like it just needs some more solid colors. As I was saying, I used black construction paper, really skinny strips of it on the border here. So you could use construction paper to add to this, or you can kind of go on a scavenger hunt around your house. Here are some things that could work. If you have Post-it notes, you could probably just take 1 or 2 of these and cut skinny strips, and you could have a really great border that'll be really nice and bold. I went through my junk mail, and this Wells Fargo thing has this awesome red strip. Obviously, ask your parents first, but you get lots of junk, I'm sure. So I could use these red pieces, just cut them long and skinny, and that'll work for the border. This thing from Progressive with Flow, I could use that blue. Something else that's kind of fun that you could do, this is just like random junk from inside the Wells Fargo. When you take something with words on it, you can just cut these words into strips, and they themselves make a pattern. And it still seems a little bit too busy. But for some of you, something like that might be an option where you just have words cut into pieces, and that could be something that you do. So for me, I think I'm gonna do the blue. All right, and that's it. You can see the word progressive is here. There's like some weird little fine print down here, but whatever. When the ladies from G's Bend are putting together these quilts, they're traditionally using fabric that's already been used. So if they have a piece of a dress, like they don't really have a lot of choices for exactly what fabric they use, you know? So it's fine for us to find things from around our house. So try your best. Oh, look, and I also added these little extra doodads on the side. I thought that would be nice. Try your best. Send me a picture. I'm really looking forward to seeing these. Bye.